Senator Rick Scott is the individual who's been focused on as the person who put forward his plan to rescue America. In that plan, there is a provision, or a part of it, a bullet point that says all federal legislation should be sunsetted every 5 years. If it's worth keeping, Congress should have to reauthorize it every single 5 years, which would put Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid at risk every 5 years, as Biden noted in his State of the Union. And so because this caused quite the debacle, Rick Scott has been getting asked about it, as you'll see on CNN, and his dishonesty is truly remarkable.
Is that Senator Rick Scott of Florida. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I think my first question has to be, given the fact that the president is now using this as an attack line, was it a mistake to propose this?
No. First off, nobody believes that I want to cut Medicare or Social Security. I've never said it. I've never said it. In that same plan, I said Congress needs to once a year tell the American public how they're going to make sure those programs don't go bankrupt, because they're in the verge of bankrupts. And here's the difference between Joe Biden and me. I've never proposed it. In 1975, he has a bill, a sunset bill, and it says it requires every program to be looked at freshly at least every 4 years, not just cost, but worthiness. And Caitlin, he said, when I argued that we should freeze federal spending, I meant Social Security as well. I meant Medicare, Medicaid, veterans benefits. I meant every single solitary thing in government. So here's the difference. I've never proposed it. He proposed it in the bill, and he fought for it year after year after year.
You're talking about what he proposed back in 1975, as almost 50 years ago. But you have said he's twisting your words. But isn't that the same thing that what you're proposing now, what you rolled out last summer?
Mine says clear. Mine says clear. If it's worth keeping, we're going to keep it. In his case, okay, he proposed a bill to just sunset everything.
Okay, so if he's being honest about the thing Biden proposed in 1975, I would have fought so hard politically against Biden and that proposal as well. We know Biden has a past of being very, very conservative within the Democratic Party, and that would be a terrible idea. That was also in 1975. If your best argument against Biden and against your own terrible plan is, well, Biden had a terrible plan in 1975, then you're conceding that you just have no argument. Because the thing he keeps doing is, it's a truly incredible form of gaslighting. Saying a statement that means something, and then when someone tells you what it means, just restating back to you in different wording what it means, you go, I didn't say that. So he's saying all federal legislation should be sunsetted if it's not passed every 5 years once again. That would put at risk those programs. And as we saw with Trump trying to repeal the Affordable Care Act, often when they have a better plan for these programs, they go ahead and try to repeal or they put in danger the program we have at the moment before actually figuring out how they're going to implement a better program. So I can see a situation if every 5 years Medicare and Social Security sunsetted, where they say, we're going to let them sunset, we're not going to repass them, but we have a better plan. And then it just doesn't end up happening, because many people, as they'll say in private conversations, and as a clip was floating around of Mike Lee from a little while ago, genuinely wish that Social Security, Medicare could just be gotten rid of. But they won't say that publicly for political reasons. And so it absolutely would put those programs at risk. And Rick Scott is saying all programs should sunset every 5 years. And then when you say, so you're meaning Medicare and Social Security would sunset every 5 years if it's not repassed? What? I never said that. Oh my gosh. And then here's another example of this when the plan was initially rolling out from a past interview he did. And he's just not good at handling these questions.
All right, let's switch to politics now, because there's a lot that we've got to look forward to between now and November the 8th. You recently put out an 11-point plan to rescue America, two of the big points of which are, quote, all Americans should pay some income tax to have skin in the game, even if a small amount. Currently, over half of Americans pay no income tax. It also says all federal legislation sunsets in 5 years. If a law is worth keeping, Congress can pass it again. So that would raise taxes on half of Americans and potentially sunset programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Why would you propose something like that in an election year?
Sure. Well, John, that's, of course, the Democrat talking points. It's a 11-step plan.
No, it's in the plan. It's in the plan.
But here's let's think about reality for a second. First off, let's talk about Medicare.
But Senator, hang on.
John.
So it's not a Democratic talking point. It's in the plan.
And also in the plan, it says we ought to every year talk about exactly how we're going to fix Medicare and Social Security. Here's what's happening. No one that I know of wants to sunset Medicare or Social Security. But what
So you see him doing it there. On the screen, it says all federal legislation. That comes right from his plan. In a previous segment, we went through on a previous show the exact plan. He looks straight at the camera and says, no one wants to sunset Medicare and Social Security. You do. That's what your plan says. What are you talking about? Medicare and Social Security fall into all federal legislation. Those would have to be a law that you re-up every 5 years based on your own plan. It is truly stunning. But that's what you have to do when your private ambition is to cut those things, but your public can't be, because it would be very politically damaging. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get the full bonus show every single Saturday, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley. Link in the description.